Lisa Hayes floated in the small escape pod. Her body felt heavy, even though she was weightless in space. The pod was barely big enough for one person. She could touch both walls if she spread her arms wide. The air smelled stale and metallic. Every breath felt like work. 3 days had passed since the attack. 3 long days of floating in the dark between stars. Lisa kept checking her oxygen meter. The red light blinked faster now. She had maybe 6 hours of air left. Maybe less. The Zephyrian research ship had been her home for 2 weeks. She was there as a diplomat from Earth. The Zephyrians wanted to learn about human culture. Lisa was supposed to teach them about Earth music and art. It was meant to be. A safe mission. A chance to build friendship between species. But the Krell raiders had other plans. Lisa closed her eyes and remembered the attack. The Krell ships had come out of nowhere. They moved like sharks in dark water, silent and deadly. The research ship had no weapons. It was built for science. Not war. Captain Vex had been a good leader. He tried to save his crew. The Zephyrians worked fast to get the escape pods ready. Lisa remembered his 4 arms moving quickly over the controls. His large eyes had been calm, even as the ship shook from enemy fire. "Go now, human friend," he had said in his musical voice. "Tell your people what happened here." That was the last thing Lisa heard him say. The pod launched just as the ship exploded. Lisa watched through the small window as pieces of metal scattered into space. She saw 2 other pods launch, but the Krell ships shot them down with laser beams. Only her pod escaped. Only she lived. Now, Lisa drifted alone in the void. She had tried sending distress signals for the first day. No one answered. The radio only made static noise. She stopped trying to save power. The pod's battery was dying too. Space was so quiet. Lisa had never experienced silence like this. On Earth, there was always some sound. Wind in trees. Cars. On roads. People talking. But here, there was nothing. Just the soft hum of the pod's life support system. Even that was getting weaker. She looked out the window at the stars. They were beautiful, but cold. Each one was a sun like Earth's sun. Some had planets, some had life. But they were all so far away. Lisa would never reach them. She would die here in the empty space between worlds. The pod had basic supplies. Water for 5 days. Food bars for a week. But oxygen was the problem. The recycling system was damaged. It could not clean the air fast enough. Lisa could taste the carbon dioxide getting stronger. She thought about Earth, about her apartment in New York, about her cat, Whiskers, about her job at the Space Diplomatic Corps, about her parents who lived in Ohio. They would wonder what happened to her. They would wait for messages that would never come. Lisa opened her personal tablet. The battery was low, but she wanted to record something. Maybe someone would find the pod someday. Maybe they would want to know what happened. "This is Commander Lisa Hayes," she said to the tablet's camera. "I'm recording this on day 3 after the attack. The Krell destroyed the research ship Harmony. All crew members are dead, except me. I'm in escape pod 7, floating in the neutral zone between Zephyrian and Krell space." She paused. What else should she say? The Zephyrians were good people. They wanted peace. They studied plants and animals from different worlds. They never hurt anyone. But the Krell killed them anyway. Lisa's voice started to shake. "I don't know if anyone will find this. I don't know if my family will ever know what happened. But I want them to know I tried to come home. I tried to make friends between humans and aliens. I believe that's important. Work." She turned off the tablet. The battery showed 5% power left. Time moved slowly in the pod. Lisa tried to sleep, but her dreams were full of explosions and laser fire. She tried to exercise, but there was no room to move. She tried to read, but the words blurred together. Her water was running low. Lisa had been careful, taking small sips. But she was getting thirsty. Her mouth felt dry and sticky. Her head hurt from dehydration. The pod's computer showed their location. They were drifting toward a dead star system. No planets, no life. Just empty space and old rocks. Even if someone came looking, they would never find her here. Lisa had always been strong. She survived military training. She learned 5 alien languages. She climbed mountains and swam in rough seas. But this was different. This was just waiting. To die. She tried to stay positive. Maybe a trading ship would pass by. Maybe Earth would send rescue ships. Maybe the Zephyrians had secret bases in this area. But deep down, Lisa knew the truth. No one was coming. No one knew where she was. The pod felt smaller each hour. The walls seemed to press closer. Lisa could hear her own heartbeat. She could hear every breath. The recycling system made a clicking noise that got louder and louder. On Earth, people always talked about the beauty of space, the wonder of exploring new worlds, the excitement of meeting alien life. But they never talked about this, the loneliness, the fear, the way silence could drive you crazy. Lisa looked at her hands. They were shaking. Not from cold, but from the carbon dioxide building up in her blood. Her body was slowly poisoning itself. She had maybe 4 hours left. Maybe 3. She thought about giving up, about turning off the life support and ending it quickly. But something inside her refused to quit. Some part of her that still hoped for a miracle. Some part that remembered her father's words. Hayes women don't give up. We fight until the very end. So Lisa kept breathing. She kept watching the stars. She kept hoping that somewhere in the vast darkness, someone might hear her silent cry. For help. The pod's computer beeped. A warning about oxygen levels. Lisa turned it off. She didn't need to be reminded about dying. She could feel it in her lungs, in her brain, in her racing heart. But she would not give up. Not yet. Not while there was still air to breathe and stars to see. Lisa Hayes would face the void with courage. She would die as she had lived. With dignity and hope. Outside the pod, space stretched on forever. Cold and empty and silent. But somewhere in that darkness, forces were moving. Ships were flying. And one of them was coming her way. Lisa didn't know it yet, but her rescue was closer. Then she thought the universe had not forgotten her. Help was coming from the most unexpected place of all. Lisa was drifting in and out of sleep when the alarm started screaming. Her eyes snapped open. The pod's computer was flashing red warnings all over the screen. Something big was approaching fast. At first, Lisa thought it was an asteroid, or maybe space junk. But then she looked out the window and saw something that made her heart stop. A massive ship was coming out of hyperspace right in front of her. It was the biggest ship she had ever seen. The ship was long and gray, with sharp edges and weapon turrets everywhere. It looked like it was built for war. Battle scars covered its hull. Burn marks from laser fire. Dents from impacts. This was a ship that had seen many fights. Lisa's radio crackled to life. A voice spoke in clear English with a slight accent. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Nations ship Defiant. We are reading life signs on your pod. Do not be afraid. We are here to help. Lisa could not believe what she was hearing. A human ship. A human voice. After 3 days of silence, someone was talking to her. And they were from Earth. This is Commander Lisa Hayes, she said into her radio. Her voice was weak and scratchy. I'm in Escape Pod 7 from the research ship Harmony. The Krell destroyed our ship 3 days ago. I'm running out of air. We see you, Commander Hayes, Captain Morrison replied. We're bringing you aboard right now. Just hold on a little longer." Lisa watched through her window as the giant ship moved closer. It was at least 3 times bigger than any ship she had seen before. The hull was covered with sensors and weapons. She could see launch bays and communication arrays. This was not just a warship. This was a fortress that could fly through space. Mechanical arms came out of the ship's belly. They moved with perfect control, reaching for her tiny pod. Lisa felt the arms grab her escape pod with gentle strength. She was being pulled toward the ship like a child being picked up by a parent. "Easy does it," said a new voice on the radio. "This is Lieutenant Sam Parker in the flight deck. We're bringing you into Hangar Bay 2. The medical team is waiting for you." Lisa felt the pod moving into the ship. Lights came on around her. She could see human crew members in uniforms running around, getting ready for her arrival. They all looked calm and professional. No panic, no confusion. Just people doing their jobs. The pod settled onto the deck with a soft thud. Lisa heard the hangar bay doors close behind her. Air began flowing into the bay. The computer showed that the atmosphere was safe to breathe. The pod's door opened with a hiss. Fresh air rushed in. Lisa took a deep breath. It was the sweetest air she had ever tasted, clean and cool and full of oxygen. She tried to stand up, but her legs were too weak. She had been floating for too long. "Take it easy, Commander," said a woman's voice. "We've got you." Lisa looked up to see a human woman in medical uniform kneeling beside her. The woman had kind eyes and gentle hands. Behind her were 2 other medical team members with a stretcher. "I'm Dr. Amy Carter," the woman said. "You're safe now. We're going to take good care of you." Lisa tried to speak, but only made a croaking sound. Her throat was so dry. Dr. Carter held a water bottle to her lips. The water was cold and pure. Lisa drank it slowly, feeling life come back to her body. "The Krell," Lisa whispered. "They killed everyone." "I know," Dr. Carter said softly. "Captain Morrison told me. But you're alive. That's what matters, right?" Now, they lifted Lisa onto the stretcher. As they carried her through the ship, Lisa looked around in amazement. The halls were wide and clean. The walls were covered with information screens. Crew members moved with purpose, but they all smiled and nodded at her as she passed. The medical bay was unlike anything Lisa had seen on alien ships. Everything was white and sterile. The equipment looked advanced, but simple to use. There were beds for 20 patients, but Lisa was the only one there. Dr. Carter and her team worked quickly. They connected Lisa to monitors that checked her heart and breathing. They gave her medicine through a tube in her arm. They scanned her body to make sure she was not hurt. "Your oxygen levels are very low," Dr. Carter said, "but you'll be fine. You just need rest and food and clean air." Lisa felt a mask go over her face. Pure oxygen flowed into her lungs. Her head began to clear. The shaking in her hands stopped. For the first time in 3 days, she felt safe. "Doctor," Lisa said, "how did you find me?" "This area is not on any human patrol routes." Dr. Carter smiled. "Captain Morrison can explain better than I can. But our sensors picked up your pod's energy signature. We changed course to investigate." A man in a captain's uniform entered the medical bay. He was tall and strong-looking, with gray hair and serious eyes. But his face was kind. This had to be Captain Morrison. "Commander Hayes," he said, "I'm glad we found you in time. How are you feeling?" "Better, thanks to your crew," Lisa replied. "Captain, I have to ask, what is the Defiant doing this far from Earth space?" Captain Morrison's expression became serious. "We're tracking Krell movements. They've been attacking ships in this sector for weeks. We think they're planning something big." Lisa felt a chill. The research ship was just the beginning? I'm afraid so, Morrison said. The Krell are testing our defenses, looking for weak spots, but they made a mistake attacking civilian ships. What kind of mistake? Morrison's smile was cold. They gave us a reason to hit back. A young man in uniform approached the captain. Sir, we've got new contacts on long-range sensors. Looks like a large Krell fleet moving toward the Tau Ceti system. Lisa's blood went cold. Tau Ceti has colonies. Millions of people live there. I know, Morrison said. That's why we're going. To stop them. Lisa tried to sit up. Captain, you can't fight a whole fleet by yourself. We're not going alone, Morrison replied. But we're going to be first on the scene. Someone has to buy time for the civilians to escape. Dr. Carter put a hand on Lisa's shoulder. You need to rest, Commander. The captain knows what he's doing. Lisa looked around the medical bay. The crew was preparing for battle. But there was no fear in their faces, just determination. These humans were going to fight impossible odds to save people they had never met. Captain, Lisa said, I want to help. I know Krell tactics. I've studied their weapons and ships. Morrison nodded. When you're stronger, we'll talk. Right now, you need to recover your strength. The captain left to prepare his ship for battle. Dr. Carter gave Lisa something to help her sleep. As the medicine took effect, Lisa felt her eyes getting heavy, but she could not stop thinking about what she had seen. A human warship had appeared out of nowhere to save her. The crew worked like a perfect team. They were brave and skilled and ready to fight for strangers. Lisa had been abandoned in space, certain she would die alone, but the humans had found her. They had brought her back to life. And now they were going to risk their lives to save others. Maybe. There was hope after all. Maybe the galaxy was not as dark as it seemed. Maybe humans really could make a difference in the war against the Krell dot. As Lisa drifted off to sleep, she heard the ship's engines getting louder. The Defiant was changing course. They were heading for battle, and Lisa would be there to help them win. Lisa woke up feeling better than she had in days. Her head was clear, and her breathing was easy. The medical monitors showed all green lights. Dr. Carter had been right. Rest and clean air had worked wonders. She sat up in the medical bay bed and looked around. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Through the window, she could see stars moving past. The Defiant was traveling at high speed toward the Tau Ceti system. Good morning, Commander, Dr. Carter said, entering the room with a food tray. How are you feeling? Much better, Lisa replied. How long was I asleep? 18 hours. Your body needed the rest. Dr. Carter set the tray down. I brought you some real food. You've been living on emergency rations for too long. Lisa looked at the tray. Fresh fruit, real eggs, actual bread. Food that came from farms, not chemical processors. Her mouth watered. This looks amazing. Our ship grows its own food, Dr. Carter explained. We have gardens and farms on Deck 7. Fresh food helps keep the crew healthy on long missions. Lisa took a bite of the eggs. They tasted incredible. I didn't know human ships could grow food in space. The Defiant is special, Dr. Carter said. She's designed for long-range missions. Sometimes we're away from Earth for years. Years? Lisa was surprised. How many crew members do you have? 2,000, Dr. Carter replied. We have families. On board, children, teachers, engineers, scientists. The Defiant is like a small city that can travel between stars. Lisa finished eating and felt strength returning to her body. Dr. Carter, may I walk around the ship? I'd like to see more of it. Of course, but take it easy. You're still recovering. Lisa left the medical bay and walked through the ship's corridors. What she saw amazed her. The Defiant was not just a warship. It was a community. She saw children playing in recreation areas, families eating together in dining halls, scientists working in laboratories, but she also saw the military side. Weapons lockers lined the walls. Crew members wore armor and carried tools for fighting. Training rooms echoed with the sounds of combat practice. This was a ship ready for war. Lisa found her way to the observation deck. It was a large room with windows that looked out at space. The stars were beautiful from here. She could see the ship's escort fighters flying in formation nearby. "Amazing view, isn't it?" said a voice behind her dot. Lisa turned to see Captain Morrison approaching. He looked tired but alert. The stress of command showed in his eyes. "Captain," Lisa said, "thank you for rescuing me. And for this." She gestured at the observation deck. "I've never seen anything like your ship." Morrison joined her at the window. "The Defiant is the result of 20 years of human engineering. We built her to explore the galaxy, to protect human colonies, to defend our friends. How many ships like this does Earth have?" 5, Morrison said. "The Defiant, the Relentless, the Stormbreaker, the Valiant, and the Guardian. Each one protects a different sector of space." Lisa was impressed. 5 ships to guard all of human space? "We have other ships too," Morrison explained, "smaller ones. But these 5 are our heavy cruisers, our main defense against threats. Like the Krell." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars. Then Lisa asked the question that had been bothering her. "Captain, what were you really doing in that sector? You said you were tracking Krell movements, but there had to be more to it." Morrison's face became serious. "We've been watching the Krell for months. They're not just raiding ships anymore. They're preparing for something big. A major attack on multiple star systems." "How do you know?" "Intelligence reports, spy satellites, captured Krell communications." Morrison paused. "And attacks like the one on your ship. They're testing our response times, learning our patrol patterns." Lisa felt a chill. "You think they're planning to attack Earth?" "Maybe. Or maybe they're planning to attack our allies, the Zephyrians, the Centauri Republic, the Vegan Federation." Morrison looked at her. "Tell me about the attack on your ship. Every detail you remember." Lisa described the ambush. How the Krell ships had appeared without warning. How they had destroyed the research vessel without trying to communicate first. How they had shot down the escape pods. Morrison listened carefully. "They used coordinated attacks, multiple ships working together." "That's new for the Krell." "What do you mean?" "Usually, Krell raiders work alone or in small groups. They hit fast and run away. But this sounds like a military operation, planned and executed by trained soldiers." Lisa realized what he was saying. "You think the Krell are organizing, becoming a real military force instead of just pirates?" "Yes, and that makes them much more dangerous." Morrison turned to face her. "Commander Hayes, I need your help. You've studied alien cultures. You know how different species think and fight. We need that knowledge. I'll do whatever I can to help." A young woman in uniform approached them. "Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command." Morrison nodded. "I'll take it in my ready room." He looked at Lisa. "Would you like to join me? This message might concern you." They walked to the captain's ready room. It was a small office with a desk, chairs, and a large communication screen. Morrison activated the screen and entered his security codes. The face of an older man appeared on the screen. He wore an admiral's uniform and had gray hair and stern eyes. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Roberts. I'm sending you new orders." "Yes, sir," Morrison replied. "We've confirmed your reports about Krell activity. They're planning A major offensive against the Tau Ceti system. Satellite intelligence shows a fleet of over 50 ships assembling in the Krell home system. Lisa felt her heart sink. 50 ships. The Defiant was powerful, but it could not fight 50 ships alone. Sir, Morrison said, are you sending reinforcements? The Relentless and the Stormbreaker are already en route. They'll meet you at Tau Ceti, but you'll be first on the scene. Your job is to evacuate civilians and delay the enemy until backup arrives. Understood, sir. Admiral Roberts looked at Lisa. Commander Hayes, we're glad you're safe. The Zephyrian government has been worried about you. Thank you, Admiral, Lisa replied. I'm ready to help however I can. Good, your knowledge of alien cultures will be valuable in the coming battle. The Admiral's expression became grave. This is not just about protecting one star system. If the Krell succeed at Tau Ceti, they'll attack other systems. This is the beginning of a war. The communication ended. Morrison and Lisa sat in silence for a moment. 50 ships, Lisa said quietly. We faced worse odds, Morrison replied. But Lisa could see the concern in his eyes. Captain, may I ask you something personal? Of course. Why do you do this? Why risk your ship and crew for people you've never met? Morrison thought for a moment. Because it's the right thing to do. Because those people have families and dreams, just like we do. Because if we don't protect them, who will? Lisa understood. This was what made humans special. Not their technology or their weapons, but their willingness to help others. To risk everything for strangers. How long until we reach Tau Ceti? She asked. 6 hours, Morrison replied. I suggest you get some rest. It's going to be a long battle. Lisa nodded and stood to leave. But at the door, she turned back. Captain, thank you for rescuing me, for showing me what humans can be. Morrison smiled. Commander, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait until you see us in action. As Lisa walked back to her quarters, she thought about what lay ahead. The Krell were coming with 50 ships. The Defiant would face them with courage and skill. But would it be enough? She looked out a window at the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of innocent people were going about their lives. They had no idea that death was coming for them. But they had one thing in their favor. They had humans willing to fight for them. Lisa had been abandoned in space, certain she would die. But the humans had found her. They had given her hope. Now it was time to return the favor. Time to help them save the galaxy. The Defiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Tau Ceti system. Lisa stood on the bridge next to Captain Morrison, watching the main screen with growing horror. The system was under attack. Krell ships swarmed around the outer planets. Like angry wasps, their black hulls gleamed in the light of the system's sun. Laser beams cut through space, destroying everything in their path. Civilian ships tried to escape, but many were already burning. Status report, Morrison ordered. Lieutenant F. Lewis worked at the tactical station. I count 47 Krell vessels, sir. 3 heavy cruisers, 12 destroyers, and 32 fighter craft. They're attacking the mining stations on Tau Ceti 4. Lisa watched the screen in shock. The Krell were not just attacking military targets. They were destroying everything. Factories, homes, schools, hospitals. This was not a military operation. This was genocide. What about our defenses? Morrison asked. The local defense force had 8 ships, Lewis replied. Only 3 are still fighting. The others are destroyed or disabled. Morrison studied the tactical display. His face was calm, but Lisa could see the fire in his eyes. Communications. Open a channel to all ships in the system. Channel open, sir, replied Lieutenant. Tom Baker. Morrison's voice carried across space. This is Captain Morrison of the UN's Defiant. All civilian ships begin immediate evacuation to the inner system. All military vessels, form up on my position. We're going to make these Krell regret coming here. Lisa watched as the Defiant moved. Into the battle zone, the ship's weapons came online. Missile tubes loaded, energy cannons charged. Shield generators hummed with power. "Sir," Lewis said, "3 defense ships are moving to join us. The cruiser Tau Ceti Pride, the destroyers. Hope and courage." "Good," Morrison replied. "Tell them to follow our lead. We're going to punch through their center line and give those civilian ships time to escape." Lisa had never seen ship-to-ship combat before. She had studied it in school, but the reality was different. More violent, more chaotic. The Krell ships moved like predators, their weapons firing in all directions. "Incoming missiles," Lewis announced. 12 targets, impact in 30 seconds. "Point defense systems, engage," Morrison ordered. Lisa watched as the Defiant's defensive weapons opened fire. Streams of energy reached out to intercept the missiles. Most were destroyed, but 2 got through. The ship shook as they exploded. Against the shields. "Shields at 90%, Lewis reported. "Return fire," Morrison said. "Target their lead cruiser." The Defiant's main guns fired. Beams of pure energy lanced across space. They struck the Krell cruiser's hull, cutting deep into its armor. The enemy ship staggered, but kept fighting. "Direct hit," Lewis said. "Enemy shields down to 60%. The battle intensified. More Krell ships moved to attack the Defiant. Lisa watched in amazement as the human crew worked together. Every person knew their job. Every action was coordinated. It was like watching a perfectly tuned machine. "Civilian transport requesting assistance," Baker reported. "They're under attack by Krell fighters." Morrison did not hesitate. "Helm, come about. Weapons, target those fighters." The Defiant turned toward the transport ship. Lisa could see it. On the screen, a large vessel filled with families trying to escape. 3 Krell fighters were shooting at it, trying to disable its engines. "Firing," Lewis announced. The Defiant's weapons reached out across space. 2 of the Krell fighters exploded instantly. The 3rd tried to run, but another burst of fire finished it off. "Transport is safe," Baker reported. "They're thanking us." "Tell them to keep moving," Morrison replied. "We'll cover their retreat." But the Krell were not giving up. More ships moved to attack the Defiant. Lisa counted at least 15 enemy vessels converging on their position. "Sir," Lewis said, "we're being surrounded." Morrison smiled grimly. "Then we'll have targets in every direction. All weapons, free fire. Hit anything that's not human." The Defiant became the center of a deadly dance. Krell ships attacked from all sides. The human warship spun and twisted, its weapons firing constantly. Enemy ships exploded or retreated with heavy damage, but the Defiant was taking damage too. Lisa felt the ship shake with each hit. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. The lights flickered as power systems strained. "Shields down to 40%, Lewis reported. "Hull breach on deck 12, called another officer. "Damage control." Teams responding. Lisa realized they were outnumbered. No matter how skilled the human crew was, they could not fight this many enemies alone. The Krell were wearing them down. Then something changed. New contacts appeared on the tactical display. Ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. "Sir," Baker said excitedly, "I'm reading 2 heavy cruisers approaching. It's the Relentless and the Stormraker." Lisa felt hope surge through her. Reinforcements had arrived. Now the odds were better. "About time," Morrison said. "Open a channel to both ships." "Channel open, sir." "Relentless, Stormraker. This is Morrison. We're engaging the main Krell force. Could use some help here." A woman's voice replied. "This is Captain Sarah White, of the Relentless. "We see you, Defiant. We're moving to support." A man's voice added, "This is Captain Mike Johnson of the Stormbreaker. Those Krell picked the wrong fight." Lisa watched as the two new ships charged into battle. The Relentless was smaller than the Defiant, but faster. It moved like a dancer, dodging enemy fire while striking back with precision. The Stormbreaker was the opposite, a massive ship with heavy armor and powerful weapons. The arrival of reinforcements changed everything. The Krell had been winning against one human ship, but 3 human ships working together was a different story. "Krell heavy cruiser is breaking off," Lewis reported. "They're trying to retreat." "Don't let them," Morrison ordered. "All ships pursue. We need to send a message." The 3 human ships moved in formation, their weapons firing in coordinated volleys. Lisa watched in amazement as they worked together like parts of a single organism. Each captain knew what the others would do without need for constant communication. The Krell cruiser tried to escape, but the human ships were faster. The Relentless cut off its retreat while the Stormbreaker attacked its engines. The Defiant delivered the killing blow. "Krell cruiser destroyed," Lewis announced that other Krell ships began to retreat. Their formation broke apart as fear spread through their ranks. What had been a coordinated attack became a desperate flight for survival. "Sir," Baker said, "the remaining Krell ships are jumping to hyperspace. They're running away." Morrison nodded. "Let them go. They'll tell their commanders what happened here." Lisa looked at the tactical display. The battle was over. The Krell had lost over half their ships. The survivors were fleeing in panic. The Tau Ceti system was safe, but the victory had come at a cost. The Defiant was damaged. 3 crew members were dead. 7 were injured. And the system's defenses were almost completely destroyed. "Damage report," Morrison ordered. "Hull breaches on 3 decks," Lewis replied. "Main engines at 60%. Shields need 4 hours to fully recharge." "Casualty report?" "Dr. Carter's." Voice came over the intercom. 3 dead, 7 wounded. The wounded will recover." Morrison closed his eyes for a moment. Lisa could see the pain in his face. Every loss hurt him personally. "Sir," Baker said, "we're receiving messages from all over the system. The colonies are thanking us." "Tell them we're glad to help," Morrison replied. "But this isn't over. The Krell will be back." Lisa knew he was right. This had been just one battle in a larger war. The Krell would not give up after one defeat. They would come back with more ships, better tactics, and greater hatred. But something had changed today. The Krell had learned that humans would fight for their friends, that human ships could work together with deadly effectiveness, that attacking innocent civilians would bring swift and terrible punishment. As the 3 human ships began rescue operations, Lisa reflected on what she had witnessed. The Defiant had been outnumbered and outgunned, but the crew had never hesitated. They had fought with courage and skill to protect strangers. This was what made humans special. Not their technology or their weapons, but their willingness to stand up for others, to risk everything for people they had never met. The battle for Tau Ceti was won, but the war for the galaxy was just beginning. And Lisa knew that with humans, like these fighting for peace, there was still hope for the future. The rescue operations lasted for 6 hours. Lisa worked alongside the human crew to help survivors from the attacked colonies. She had never seen anything like their dedication to saving lives. Dr. Carter led medical teams to the damaged stations. Engineers worked to repair broken ships. Pilots flew dangerous missions to reach stranded civilians. No one asked for payment or thanks. They just did what needed to be done. Lisa found herself in the Defiant's main hangar bay, helping to treat wounded civilians. Most were from different alien species: Zephyrians, Centauri, vegans, and others. But the human crew treated them all With the same care they would show their own families. A young Zephyrian girl sat crying in the corner. Her parents had been killed in the attack. Lisa knelt beside her, speaking in the musical Zephyrian language. The girl looked up with her large, sad eyes. "Are the bad ships coming back?" the girl asked. "No," Lisa said gently. "The humans chased them away. You're safe now." Dr. Carter approached with medical supplies. "How is she?" "Scared but not hurt," Lisa replied. "Her name is Vila. She lost her parents." Dr. Carter knelt down and smiled at the girl. "Hello, Vela. I'm Amy. Would you like something to eat?" The girl nodded shyly. Dr. Carter produced a food. From her kit. Not the emergency rations, Lisa remembered, but something sweet and colorful. The girl's eyes widened with wonder. "Chocolate," Dr. Carter explained to Lisa. "We keep some for the children on our ship. All kids love chocolate, no matter what species they are." Lisa watched as Vela ate the chocolate. A small smile appeared on her face for the first time since the attack. Such a simple thing, but it meant everything to a scared child. "Dr. Carter," Lisa said, "what will happen to the orphans?" "We'll find families for them," Dr. Carter replied. "The Zephyrian government has programs for war orphans. And if they can't find homes, human families will adopt them." Lisa was amazed. "Human families adopt alien children? Of course. A child is a child. Species doesn't matter." This was something Lisa had never heard of before. In her experience, most species kept to themselves. They helped their own kind, but rarely others. But humans were different. They truly saw all life as valuable. Captain Morrison entered the hangar bay. He looked tired but satisfied. The rescue operations were almost complete. "Commander Hayes," he said, "could I speak with you?" They walked to a quiet corner of the hangar. Morrison's expression was serious, but not unhappy. "I've received new orders from Earth Command," he said. "The Zephyrian government wants to meet with human leaders. They're interested in forming a military alliance." Lisa felt excitement building. "That's wonderful news." "It is. And they specifically requested that you be part of the negotiations. Your experience with both cultures makes you valuable to both sides." Lisa thought about this. A few days ago, she had been dying alone in space. Now she had a chance to help create peace between species. "Captain, I'd be honored to help. But first, I want to understand something." "What's that?" "Why do humans do this? Why risk everything for people you barely know?" Morrison was quiet for a moment. He looked out at the rescue operations still going. On around them, "My grandmother lived through the Third World War," he said finally. "She used to tell me stories about it. The death, the destruction, the hatred between different groups of humans." Lisa listened carefully. "She said the war taught humanity a lesson, that we're all in this together, that what happens to one of us affects all of us. When we went to the stars, we took that lesson with us." "So you help aliens because you learn to help each other?" "Exactly. We know what it's like to be alone and afraid. We know what it's like to lose everything. So when we see others in trouble, we remember our own pain." Lisa understood. Humans had learned compassion through suffering. They knew that strength came from unity, not division. "There's something else," Morrison continued. "The galaxy is a dangerous place. The Krell are just one threat. There are others out there. Pirates, warlords, ancient machines that kill everything they meet. So you need allies. We need friends. Real friends who will stand with us when things get bad. And the only way to make friends is to be a friend." A communication officer approached them. "Captain, we're receiving a message from the Tau Ceti government. They want to hold a ceremony to thank us." Morrison smiled. "Tell them we appreciate the thought, but we have work to do. There are other systems that might need our help." The officer left. Lisa looked at Morrison with new respect. You're not going to accept their thanks? Thanks are nice, but action is better. Every minute we spend in ceremonies is a minute we're not protecting someone else. This was the heart of human philosophy. Lisa realized service over glory, action over words, results over recognition. Captain, she said, I want to ask you for something. What's that? I want to transfer to the Defiant. Permanently. I want to be part of this crew. Morrison looked surprised. You have a good career in the diplomatic corps. Are you sure you want to give that up? I'm not giving it up. I'm expanding it. The Defiant goes places where diplomats are needed, where first contact happens, where peace is made or broken. Morrison nodded slowly. I think that can be arranged. We could use someone with your skills. 3 days later, the Defiant was ready to leave Tau Ceti. The repairs were complete. The wounded were healing. New crew. Members had been assigned to replace those who died in battle. Lisa stood in her new quarters, unpacking her belongings. She had been given the rank of Cultural Liaison Officer. Her job was to help the crew understand alien cultures and to represent humanity in diplomatic situations. A chime sounded at her door. Come in, she called. Vila, the young Zephyrian girl, entered with Dr. Carter. The girl was clean and well-fed now. She wore a small human uniform that had been made specially for her. Vila wanted to see you before we transfer her to the refugee ship, Dr. Carter explained. The girl ran to Lisa and hugged her legs. Thank you for helping me, she said in her musical voice. You're welcome, little one, Lisa replied. Be brave. Your new family will love you very much. Will I see you again? Lisa knelt down to the girl's level. Maybe someday. The galaxy is big, but humans have a saying. It's a small universe. Vila giggled at this. She gave Lisa one more hug and left with Dr. Carter. Lisa stood alone in her quarters, thinking about everything that had happened. A week ago, she had been a diplomat on a peaceful mission. Now she was a crew member on a human warship, ready to face whatever dangers the galaxy might hold. She looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Krell were regrouping. Other threats were stirring, but she was no longer afraid. She was part of something larger now. Part of a crew that would never abandon anyone in need. Her personal communicator beeped. A message from her parents on Earth. They had heard about her rescue and the battle. They were proud of her decision to join the Defiant's crew. We raised you to help others, her father's message said. Sounds like you found the right place to do it, Lisa smiled. She had indeed found the right place. Among humans who treated the galaxy like one big family. Among people who would cross space itself to help a stranger in need. The Defiant's engines began to hum. They were leaving Tau Ceti, heading for their next mission. Lisa felt excitement building. She didn't know what they would face next, but she knew they would face it together. She had been abandoned in space, certain she would die alone. But the humans had found her. They had given her a new life, a new purpose, a new family. The human warship had shattered the silence of space. But more than that, it had shattered the idea that different species could never truly work together. In the darkness between stars, friendship could shine brighter than any sun. Lisa Hayes was home.